Hello, Star Wars fans. Hey, there's just 328 days until Christmas 2022. Oh, and Ohio has a football team going to the Super Bowl. What do you know? Things happen. Darth Elvis is in the building. Elvis just released a new music video this morning. It was a lot of fun. Enjoyed that quite a bit. And Abby is here. Good to see you, Abby. So it's Monday. It must mean that Jason Ward has nothing better. He doesn't need sleep. It's Monday morning. Why would you sleep in? I mean, Good morning, Jason.
I'm a reindeer.
Hey, good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
Thanks for
both
being
have
here.
our yellow Star Wars shirts on. We coordinated today. Yeah, me and Santa, we call and we're like, what are you wearing? And I'm like, well, what are you wearing? and then when he wears that, I go, God, I was gonna wear that. I get real mad, but today it worked out.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. And X-Wing, hello. It's early morning for you as well. And let me start off because something's got me annoyed this morning, and it happens, right? These things happen. I need to share my screens. I'm running a little bit behind. You would think I'd have my act together, but there's some things going on in my life that are causing things to go sideways on me. We've had pet ferrets for years.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I had one as a kid illegally.
Oh, that's right, California.
I had two actually, Bandit, and one was a white one that was named Yoda, and Yoda was mean though. Yoda was white. Yoda wasn't nice. But
our ferrets have been very nice. They're playful and really, really great ferrets. And one of the problems with pet ferrets is there's about 2 or 3 places in the U.S. that breed them, and they tend to inbreed them too much.
Okay.
And so
my Yoda was probably a little inbred, I think, looking back on it. This was in the 80s. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but do you know why we got ours?
No.
The Ewok Adventure.
Oh.
I wanted one when I saw it in the Ewok movies, and my dad saw Beastmaster and was like, it's on.
It's on. They're great pets. Our oldest daughter had pet rats. And those are great pets too, but they have very short lifespans. 2 years, you're done. Like a year. So they're very, very short lifespans, but they're great pets. Ferrets, they have a lifespan about 7 years. Okay. And we lost 2 of them due to cancer. That happens. And this one is 7 years old. And the last week or so, his health has taken a decline. The poor little guy's trying to eat. He's trying to get around, but he's just
not feeling.
Yes, it's not happening. His back legs. He's so weak he can't use his back legs. He's dragging them around in the cage, and it's just not a good life for him. Yeah. So I had to make some arrangements this morning to take care of him. Responsible pet owners, you guys. Responsible pet owners, there's a time where you have to do very difficult things, and it's because your pets give you tons of love, tons of companionship and fun, and then come the end of their lives, you may want to hold on to them a little too long, and it's hard. So we're making arrangements. We've had 3. We had Anna and Elsa, and Sven. And Sven. So this is Sven. Sven is at the end of his life, and that's just what's happening. So
sorry.
Anyway, hey, it's pet ownership, and it's just it's no fun, right?
They are so when they're like loving, they are so adorable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like little ferrets are just the best.
They're a lot of fun to watch too, because they make little chirpy sounds, and they dance around and jump and hop and wrestle, and they have a lot of fun. But
they're like Slinkies.
They are. So this has got me annoyed today because I saw Yakface tweeted this. Look, these droid figures are starting to show up on shelves in Targets in New Jersey.
Isn't that good?
Well. No? That is good, except I tried to pre-order one. It said, nope, we sold all of them. And then I went out and said, oh, they're available. That must mean I can order one now because this says pre-orders have sold out. Check back in on the release date. Now, last week I went on a big tirade because these were starting to show up in people's mailboxes. Right? They're starting to show up, and I still couldn't order one. Today, it's in a store in New Jersey. Right. Mark, change your clothes, get out of your PJs, put on some jeans, and head to Target. Go.
You know what I both love about your show and at the same time hate is the fact that I got out of buying stuff, and I'm looking at this right now and I'm like, man, I want that. I want to get that. And I don't have anything right now. I got like rid of, and I'm like, I kind of want to get this.
I know, and it's fantastic because it's from it's from that holiday special, and then the Droids cartoon that came afterwards.
Yeah,
and they kept the same paint from the holiday special. It's fantastic. And I can't get one for the life of me. And now Target, it's in New Jersey, and they're saying, check back on the release date. Why you make me mad, Target? Why? Yeah. Why you make me mad? I don't. They just. But I do have friends. I've got our good friend over in the UK. He's got one set aside for me, and said he would make sure that I got one. So if my daughter shows up in a chat, Kayla, if you're in the chat, if you listen to this, I need you to go to Target. She's up in Sandusky, Ohio, where Cedar Point is, and there's a Target real near her. I need you to go to Target ASAP.
Kayla, DM me. I'll give you $1 more than whatever Santa says.
No.
$1 more.
That's just wrong. It's just wrong. So I'm a little frustrated. And since I'm talking about these right now, I will also bring up that Lucasfilm signed, re-upped Hasbro's contract. And so Hasbro has the exclusive figures contract. And terrible news, the bidding war has begun.
Wait, Hasbro has the contract, but a bidding war has begun?
No, X-Wing says he'll give me $2 more. You said one.
Got it.
Now, X-Wing's offering Kayla $2, so that there's that.
All right, Kayla, take my deal, or the baby Grogu in the next room gets it.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah. Well, so they renewed the contract with Hasbro. Well, the terrible news for collectors are that prices are going up. Hasbro's raising prices across the board. So these are still the classic price, $16, and they're available at Walmart. So if you can get
man, I just had an old man moment right
to a
now.
Target.
I was just like, in my day, I went to Gemco and they cost $3. When I was 3 years old, my allowance was $3 because that was enough to buy a quote Star Wars man. Sorry, ladies, that's what we called them back then. I want a Star Wars man. But
it's a Target exclusive here, so it's frustrating to me. So anyway, that's enough of that. It's just we have more fun things to talk about, and I saw Mike Porter can't stay. He's taking care of his dad. His dad just had a regular checkup. Best I know, Mike's dad's okay. It's just his dad's a little bit older. And Mike Porter's older than me. Yeah. So if that tells you anything, his dad is a stage of his life where
they may be Highlanders. I'm just throwing it out there. They might be. There can be only one, but maybe they're not chopping off each other's heads because they're father and son Highlanders.
Could be.
I had the best time. He did a stand up. He's like little stand up routine kind of thing, like a podcast on Twitter, and it was the best time. When Mike Porter does one, if you're on Twitter or if you can go to it and check it out because it was fun. He's hilarious. Corny, but great. Like I had a good time. I loved it.
It's good.
If I didn't, I wouldn't say that. I would have just said I didn't see it. I don't know what happened.
Right. So there's been talk, and I brought this up as the topic today. Is Maz Kanata going to show up in the Book of Boba Fett, or is Maz's castle going to show up in the Book of Boba Fett? And I got my lines crossed. I thought that you had said something about leak that Maz's castle was in the Book of Boba Fett, but I heard you talk about on your show last week that was actually Andor that you heard that from. Set me straight.
So just to be clear, Tatooine show are the ones who were saying that, not me, and I'm not. That's not like a slight or an endorsement or anything like that. I don't know. I don't know if this is in the show or not. Is in Boba, but I saw a couple. I mean, honestly, it was a lot of the same. But I saw a couple hundred pictures of the Andor sets that were done last year, and there's one main set that was built that looks like a castle, and it has the same kind of stone, like kind of walls that Maz's castle has. And that's what I'm like, am I looking at Maz's castle a little redressed? And I think there was like a bar area in it. I'm like, that might be it. But the pictures weren't like, here's a Force Awakens direct shot, like where I'm trying to do it. So I'm not positive. But so the takeaway for me, that's not that amazing, is that there's a castle-looking gray-walled set in Andor. And so when people started saying that, I was like, I know it's in Andor. Is it in both, or are people hearing something and then it's getting confused? But that's I don't know. That was just like speculation on my part.
Excellent. And I heard Star Wars Only. He put a post out, I think last night, this morning. His last video, he was talking about the title of it is something to the effect of can Dave Filoni save the Book of Boba Fett? It's got this picture of Dave Filoni. And I was just watching it this morning, and he talked how he had the exclusive that Maz's castle was in the Book of Boba Fett. And I'm like, aha, there you go. That came from Star Wars Only. And so he had that leak, and he doubled down on it in that video. And he talked a lot about hearing that it was going to be in. Mm-hmm. And the question then is, is Maz going to be in the Book of Boba Fett? We see that we see that Din is headed to go get Grogu. Give him his little gift, right? Got to give you Beskar gift. Will he go to Maz's castle? I mean, it's conceivable that that's where he might find Luke Skywalker. In the High Republic era, there on what's that planet? Takodana. Mm-hmm. Maz's castle's on one side of the lake, and there's a Jedi temple on the other side of the lake. So they're just across the lake from each other.
So Luke can go over, get wasted, pick up a robot chick, and then go back and be like, I didn't do anything. I was just hanging. I was doing Jedi stuff. I swear. Like, right. Grogu's just like, this guy, man. I need to go back to my Mando dad, because this guy's he's having some post-war problems.
Yeah. There's a castle on Raxus. Well, that's true, but there's also one on Takodana, Dale.
Well, on Mustafar too. They're all over the place. So
yeah, they're like everywhere. So there is one on Takodana. There's an attack that happens there, and it's in one of the comics, and so. Because we have the castle lasting up until episode 7, right?
So it has to. I mean, they have to want to reuse it. I think that makes sense. So if we try to make sense of it, right?
Yeah.
What do we? And if we pretend that all the rumors are true, like if we pretend like everything out there is true, I think what we're seeing is that Din doesn't know how to find Grogu because he doesn't know where Luke's at. He doesn't have like a Luke's cell phone number. So he maybe goes to Maz Kanata's castle because he knows maybe somebody tips him off that she knows Solo, and that Solo is basically his brother-in-law. So maybe he goes to Maz, meets Han, who then brings Luke and Grogu to Din.
So here you go. Yes, and this was Mark. Where was it? Mark earlier. Let me go back up because Mark made a joke earlier, and I was kind of ignoring it. And then, so here it is. Maz gets jiggy with Chewie in the Book of Boba Fett. We know that Chewie is her boyfriend. Yeah. Right? Says, hey, where's my boyfriend? Right.
And what's her name? Is it Pelimoto?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, she might still Chewie from it. It might be a whole soap opera here of weird Star Wars dating. Like, doesn't it have like a holiday special vibe? You know, when she's in the bar, like the weird people are hitting on B. Arthur and stuff.
I love the dating game meme now with Pelimoto, where on the other side of the wall there are 3 Jawas there.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. It's hilarious. So yes, if you take all the rumors, all the speculation, and you pretend they're all real, and you try to put them together, it makes a picture. And because there's been rumors of Han Solo being in the Book of Boba Fett, that he was going to be a big reveal. Yeah. Well, Han and Chewie could be hanging out at Maz's for sure, because she's an old friend of his, and there's a relationship there that goes back some time, a friendship. So that could absolutely be the case. And across the pond, so to speak, across the way of this lake, there is a Jedi temple. It would make it, even though it's been kind of destroyed by this time, it's been attacked, and I don't think that during this era it's still standing in its whole. It would still be a place maybe Luke would hang out with Grogu. And to be honest, I can't remember the exact state of the place. It might be empty and just fine to live in, but it would make sense that they could all be on Takodana, and that's what happens. Now, it does throw a little bit of a wrench into the plan when there was that interview where Tamura and Ming-Na Wen were going through the app, and he saw the Ewok. He saw the Ewok, and he clicked on the Ewok and said they were a lot of fun. And she goes, "Yeah, they were." So, what are Ewoks hanging out on Takodana? Is Din?
My hope is they go to Takodana, but Boba hires a group of Ewoks who become mercenaries after the war, and that they're out there, and then he has like an Ewok like little gang too, because that'd be rad. I'm just saying, if it happened, I wouldn't be mad. It's ridiculous, but I would love it.
It is. Hey, we've got some folks here that I've not seen before. John Bird, hello. Maz also appeared in Battlefront 2. Yeah, so Maz is really old, right? Like, she's really old, like Yoda old, right? Like, she's really old, and she appears in the High Republic era. She's in those comics. She appears in there, and then we know in the sequels. So that whole time frame, it could be there. Yeah. Don't put it past Disney. Nope. Mark, I want to see Ewoks packing heat. But look, they could be. Hey, Super Saiyan! I haven't seen you in a long time. Super Saiyan, good to see you. Welcome. So, I don't know what to think of any of it. I don't. Yeah. And you know, every week we do this predictions game, and so for my predictions this week, it's a hot mess. I put on there would see Maz. Well, Star Wars Only's leak would give some credence to that.
I know, and I said no. And then he goes and does the video where he's like, "It's totally happening, I promise." Because like, a thing to like remember that I don't think like people understand is that it like when you put yourself out there and you say something's going to happen, like you're facing, unless you're just like a sociopath or something, you're facing like humiliation. Like every time I've ever gone to see a Star Wars movie, it's like this is either going to be a good night or like a really just I know I'm going to leave going like everybody hates me now. Like that's what you feel. But the fact that Tatooine said this a long time ago and then is saying it now, why would he want to like this close to it? Especially when people kind of forgot about it a little bit and he reinforced it. It makes me think that he really believes it's going to happen and that it has some legs. It's not just wild speculation. Like sometimes people will do this thing where they're like, oh, of course Grogu's going to be in Bad Batch. Yeah, Grogu's in Bad Batch, and the Bad Batch, of course that's going to happen. And then they make it as a scoop or something, and it's just BS. But in this case right here, I really do believe it's likely to happen because of the fact that he believes it, and he's putting himself out there. And I respect that, I really do.
Yeah, and if he's wrong, then we can haze him online.
Yeah,
it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just saying. I considered Star Wars only to be a friend. I've helped him out with some things, and he's invited me to participate in things with him. So I
he seems
consider
like a great dude. I don't know him that well, but I have a few interactions I've had with him. He seems like a cool dude.
Yeah, I don't know him that well. I've not got to talk to him directly. But we've chatted and DMs back and forth, and we've tried to plan things together, and that's kind of things that kind of go on in this community, and he does this marathon every year, and last 2 years he's invited me to participate in it along with Lunga there from the Great Council, who appears on the Chatooine show on a regular basis. So welcome, Lunga. Good to see you. So yeah, only is he's doubling down on Maz, and it's in the predictions. I said yeah, and then I was about to back out and say no after listening to you and your sketchy friend. I just listened to you and Rob's Sketchcraft, and I was like, oh, you know what? I was wrong. It's not going to be in there at all. And so I was ready to go in and change my prediction to no, and now I'm back on yes, and I don't know what to think.
Yeah. Well, that's I mean, we'll have to see how it feels when the show is done. But like during the airing of each of these episodes of Book of Boba, my problem with it as a series has been that the structure is just like non-existent. It's like someone went free writing, and they didn't put it into any kind of like coherent. Like if I had seen this whole series and then tried to leak it, I would have no idea how to coherent. If I saw it in one sitting, how to coherently tell you what happened. I'd just be like, then this happens. Then there's a Bantha, and then there's a Rancor, and then it just would be like, And I don't know. I don't know if right now, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if I love the show or if I'm mad at it. And
I know where Lunga is. Right?
Yeah.
I know where Lunga's a little irritated. But yeah. I think that's. I keep saying it makes sense. Look, I'm taking the story as it comes. All right, and it's just the story of Boba Fett. It's a book of Boba Fett, and it's what's going on between the last time we saw him in the original trilogy and when we saw him show up in Mando. Yeah. What happened in that time period? Well, this is what it's telling us, and it's unfolding chapter by chapter, and I just take it for what it is. And I heard Alex from Star Wars Explained say that in practically every Star Wars novel that's out there, there is an interlude kind of chapter or chapters. We see them in the Thrawn novels, going back to Timothy Zahn. We see them all the way through many of the High Republic novels, even where these flashback scenes happen, and maybe even they take tangents with different characters, like not even in this story. They were in the Aftermath novels.
Things they want the fan base to know, kind of little moments, right? Is that
Yeah, well, like Cobb Vanth. Cobb Vanth was introduced in the Aftermath novels. He has nothing to do with that story, really. I mean, he's peppered through there in a few places, but he's not part of the core story. And then Cobb Vanth shows up. Well, he came from the Aftermath novels, and now his story's maybe going to unfold a little more. And so we get chapter 5 of the Book of Boba Fett. It's a book. It's like reading a book, maybe, and it's a interlude. So we go in a different direction, and then we come back just like the books do. But it can be a little frustrating for folks, and I'm anxious to see how it all ties in. Because I understand where Lunga's coming from. Yeah, right? I understand the folks that are having trouble. I'm enjoying it. I've got it ranked somewhere around an 8 overall as a series, but that could go up or down. We'll see where it goes.
Well, I was thinking about I hate to be the Star Wars pundit or whatever you want to say, who always goes back to Marvel, because I'm not even that big into Marvel. Like, I just enjoy it with my kids. Like, we watch them when they come out, cool, and then I don't really watch it again. I just have a good time with it as it happens. But like in Marvel, like I think Marvel fans, they get this thing where they're like, we're in phase 22. And then you know, like, oh, all the stuff in Phase 22 is talking to each other. And like one of the things that like they're not being clear about, really, they're like, well, there are crossovers, and they'll say that at a corporate event. But like, I feel like if we knew that this had every series has work to do for the other series then it would help. It would help. It would help like us knowing that kind of stuff that we're like, and like if there was like maybe a subtitle to the era of this cluster of storytelling or something that may make it work. Cause like, I love the last episode, very well done. Great episode of The Mandalorian, but I've been following the Boba Fett story and I have this side thing and it was both delightful and insulting in a strange way. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it, but I loved it. I'm glad it happened, but I'm also not glad it happened at the expense of furthering the Boba Fett story. And like maybe important real estate, so to speak, was lost in deepening Boba and making his story a better, deeper experience. And but I always said it was 6 episodes, and then we get 7 episodes, and one of them. So I have a feeling that they moved some stuff over, and that episode was really tacked on.
Boy, it's tough.
Tacked in.
It's tough because now we're stuck with Din going to find Grogu, and I think that's what people want to see. Is that the next episode, or we have to wait for Mando season 3 to see that? And if it's the next episode, are people going to be more like, well, what happened to Boba?
Well, that's what I want. Like I know there's rumors and there's people who believe that the next episode is going to be Din going to find Baby Yoda, Grogu, and that makes sense. It could completely, I believe that it could happen. But the better thing would be that that happens off screen and happens in season 3. That's what I think would be the better choice. That way, these things are cleaner, and when we have them all sitting on Disney Plus, we could go around, and it gives us reason to want to go back and watch Book of Boba after we watch season 3. And I like that a little bit better. But
the comment you made about lost real estate, I think, is what has people most kind of frustrated. Even if the story isn't like they're willing to be somewhat patient, but we're down to 2 episodes left and they still don't know what the heck's going on, right? Like Lunga. Yeah. I know. Look, there are folks that are like, what in creation is going on? And I'm fine. I'm happy. I'm a happy guy. I like Star Wars. I like the Book of Boba Fett. But I understand people who aren't as satisfied with what it's giving, and they're really concerned because the real estate we have left is running out, right? And there's all these rumors of things that are supposed to happen. We're running out of. I said before, we're running out of runway, right? Like this thing's gonna go off the end of the runway, and what's gonna happen? Like we don't know.
I'm because there's like a couple of things too, like for instance, Ming-Na Wen. I don't know her, but as a celebrity person, I dig her. She seems cool. She has a good personality. She seems nice. She seems into it. But her character itself, if you love Fennec, why do you love Fennec right now? I don't know anything about Fennec other than that she's pretty and has a cool costume, which I kind of get very Boba Fett-ish. Boba Fettish? That sounds weird. But you know what I mean? It does. It's like a kind of classic Boba Fett thing, but I mean, where is she from? What's she about? What does she want? I mean, other than I'm out for the ride, like she likes adventure, cool. I know more about people I see on dating apps than I know about Fennec, and I've spent like 8 hours with her now.
Well,
it's weird.
Something locked into my head when I was trying to understand why folks didn't like the sequel trilogy so much. Mm-hmm. I watched tons of videos on different content creators who are maybe aligned with the fandom menace, or at one point were associated with them. Watched lots of those videos. Watched a lot of other things, but there's something that I heard in one of those videos, and I can't remember from whom, so give credit where it's due, but I can't remember. 2 things really sell people. One is cool, and the other is cute, right? Cool and cute. That'll sell. Yeah. And Fennec is super cool. And you know what? You can't lie. Ming-Na Wen is pretty hot. So
I don't know about that. No, yeah, no. She's
know,
beautiful. Yeah,
that's all it takes. That's all it
yeah.
takes. And so people are like, "Whoa, she is cool." Right? So
Yeah.
that's all we know about her. She's cool. She's got that cool outfit, and Ming-Na Wen is pretty hot. So they're like, well, we like her.
So like let's let's explore her a little bit and round it out as a great classic Star Wars character forever. Whereas right now, like I said, that's where I'm a little bit like I've never been the kind of person who sees like something cool in Star Wars and goes, oh, they just want to make action figures stupid, and it gets mad. It's like it's always been about that. General Madine, the lamest Star Wars character of all time, was made to make an action figure. Like, don't act like this is new insight. But when I hear about Grogu coming into the show, I do kind of for the first time feel like, oh man, they just want to give him a little bit of chainmail and then have a new marketing campaign and some stuff for the shelves at Target. And I'm a little bit like, that for the first time I feel like that could be the case.
Yeah, cool and cute. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. And X-Wing, and tie it back in, first of all, the cool thing, the reason Boba Fett was popular after the original trilogy is because he looked cool. Let's be honest. He didn't do anything. He stood around holding his blaster. Right? He followed the Millennium Falcon, and then he gets to Cloud City, and he just stands around. He didn't do anything, right?
Boba Fett did everything at your house when you were a little boy or little girl, and you were playing with the toy.
Right?
No, it's true. He had all kinds of adventures in your head as a child.
Right, he's unknown. He's an unknown character. He was a bit of a chump. Got yeeted into that Sarlacc without doing anything. Or about the time he was getting ready to do something, he fell in the Sarlacc. And then there was all these other stories and things that came up, backstories for him, all kinds of stuff in EU that built up his character. And as you say, in lots of backyards, basements, and living rooms of people's houses with those classic Kenner figures. That's what happened.
As a kid, we used to take all of our action figures and we would put them into a pile. And then we would pick one, and then you'd pick one, and we would pick one. And Boba Fett didn't have any. Yeah. Oh, I do.
I heard that. I heard that.
Yeah. But we would pick one. We would do that, and I would always go for Boba Fett because he worked as a good avatar for me as a kid because I could just be Boba Fett because he had nothing to him.
Yeah.
In a weird way, and I wonder how common that was in some way. I feel like it probably was very common throughout the years, even the Power of the Force 95 kids, and even probably and after that, because he could be whatever you wanted. So now we're defining him, and I don't think that's bad. I think it's good. I mean, personally, I think it's great. But
yeah, and I saw RF Gaming's comment in the chat as well. But yeah, we're getting a backstory. But sometimes mysterious and unknown plays really well. And it's worked for Boba Fett for over 30 years. Mysterious and unknown, right?
But doesn't it still feel like, though, in this instance, that it's still working for Din? Just because, like, when I watched the new episode, I know a lot about that guy now. I saw him as a kid. I saw him. I've seen him on many adventures now. I know a lot about him now. And when you see him and he's just there quiet, you're like, what's he going to do?
Yeah.
And the difference is in Book of Boba is he's like, you know exactly what he's probably going to do every single time now, and that's it's a difference in the writing, I think.
Are you ready to put on your tinfoil conspiracy hat? You got it handy. You want to grab that? Put it right on. Yeah, we're ready to go. we're ready to go.
This is my conspiracy hat.
The conspiracy tinfoil conspiracy hat would say that there was some sort of licensing agreement when they bought Lucasfilm, and if you use legacy characters, you have to pay George Lucas. If you use your own characters, you don't have to pay George Lucas. So Din Djarin is the new cool guy on the corner because they don't want to pay George Lucas, and that's why Boba Fett is being downplayed. I
don't know. If they're when it comes to those kind of things, I'm always like, you know what, though? I think he would have, if he had that power, he would have kept the final cut on stuff, and Force Awakens would have been George Lucas's story.
Oh, my goodness. I don't buy into that either, but...
it's fun, though. Fun to think about. It's a fun thought exercise.
It is a thought exercise, and it holds a little water. It holds a little water because you can see it, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think the marketing to sell Boba Fett has always been high, and you tell a good story with a good character, and it'll just breathe new life into it, and you could get a lot more Boba Fett sales. Now,
Yeah.
that being said, the Hasbro's having no trouble at all moving Boba Fett characters. like
Okay,
those
good.
figures are flying off shelves, and the pre-orders are going everywhere. Hot Toys has the new Boba Fett figure. We've got Figure Arts with a brand new Boba Fett figure. Boba Fett is everywhere, and he's selling everywhere. So yeah, I have a hard time saying that there's any weight behind that. And and there was a question earlier. What is my favorite Rey figure that I have? I've got I think every Black Series figure, one of at least most of them. My favorite would be it's a bit of a tie, but it's from the Rise of Skywalker. The Rey from Rise of Skywalker Black Series figure is phenomenal. Looks great. The head sculpt, the paint, all of it looks fantastic. And the Dark Rey from Rise of Skywalker with the double red lightsaber is pretty sweet too. If I had to pick between the two, I'd go with the Rey. I have a vintage collection Rey from The Last Jedi that is very good, very very good. Soft goods cape. But then I've also got the Hot Toy Rey from Sideshow Collectible. You know, those super expensive ones from Rise of Skywalker with Dio and the training droid and all of that. It's
you opened that.
So.
You showed that on the stream a few days ago.
I did.
You?
I did.
That was
so,
cool.
So there you go. Those are my favorites. So X-Wing, you're hilarious. His favorite figure is Holdo. I Holdo it every night as I fall. Oh, X-Wing. Being silly. So look, Book of Boba Fett. Yeah. Are we going to get Maz? Maybe, probably.
I hope so. I really do hope so though, because like when I had a lot on Maz and during her development, and they changed Maz quite a bit, and I think they may have changed Maz late into Force Awakens because of what Rian Johnson was left with. Like, because originally Maz was supposed to be essentially an emerging Yoda. She was supposed to be the Yoda who rejected the Yoda job and then was going to move into that position over the trilogy. But when they put Luke on an island at the end and then Rey has to go find Luke, Maz literally has no job now. And Rian Johnson didn't have anything really to do with her. And then they started taking, like, there was a whole scene of her underground where she force pushes a bunch of stormtroopers so Han and Rey and Finn could all escape, and that happens. And then we were going to start, and then they started to change stuff, like, oh, she's rejected the Jedi ways, and you're like, okay, yeah, more and more. But they didn't really do much with it until Episode 9. They kind of played with it a baby bit because they didn't have Carrie.
Yeah.
And so it would be fun if they started to seed ideas about Maz not joining Luke, being like, I don't want to be involved. I don't trust the Jedi concept and stuff like that. And then post Episode 9, we start to see her go, I believe in you, Rey, and I'm going to do it.
Yeah. And look, Boba Fett showed up in the chat. You know, why not? Because he wasn't doing anything on the show last week. He's got time on his hands. Oh, look at Santa being hot. No, it's a good comment, though. If we get Maz in a cameo over Bosk, I'm a riot. I think a lot of people will be upset if you get Maz over Bosk. But Maz is a fascinating character, and there's a lot of potential to be explored with her character. And there's this other comment, Cad Bane. So you think that Cad Bane? Look, there was early rumors that Cad Bane was going to be in the Book of Boba Fett. That's before Episode 1 came out. Mm-hmm. There was a leak. Cad Bane, live action Cad Bane. I got super excited about that, right? But and Dave Filoni's doing the next episode. Are we getting Cad Bane again? I mentioned like the runway is getting short. We're approaching the end. There's no more room to be adding a lot more. If Maz is going to be in it, Luke's going to be in it, Han's going to be in it, Cad Bane's going to be in it, and we'll talk about other possible characters, Kira and Bosk and Forlom, and who knows where are they coming from and when. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of.
Yeah, that's where I'm kind of afraid that like all of the cameos may come at the end in this super heavy way, and I hope it's not a band-aid for like the fact that there wasn't a really great event for the ending, and then instead and it'll fool everyone for a short time. Or when I say fool, I mean everyone will be like, wow, I saw this character I wanted to see. But as we see those characters utilized in other places and used more on screen and other things, all of that will diminish, I think. I could be wrong, but that's what I think is, and I want things to be good for a long time, if not forever. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm always hoping that what they're doing is for the long run.
Yeah. And if they're planning a season 2, it'd be great to know that. Like, okay, this is season 1. We can't give you all the candy, right? You got to space it out. And there's plans for season 2 and 3 and 4. Who knows? Like we've heard, Mandalorian's going to end after season 3, and it'll transition to be something else. Who knows? And the question is, and for Coachella, is Maz rumored to show up? Yes, indeed she is. Star Wars Only has doubled down on that. He said it was leaked to him months ago. And then, or maybe not months, but maybe a month or more ago. And then just in his last video, he doubled down on Maz being in, or Maz's castle. I should be more specific. Maz's castle. So you would assume or presume Maz would be there as well. And then Shanks said, I'm calling BS. Maz could have been utilized more. Yes, she could have been utilized more. There's a lot of characters that could have been utilized more, but when you have so many characters, and it's one of the criticisms of the High Republic era is they introduced a ton of characters, and you're trying to learn what's going on, and it's kind of overwhelming. Well, the sequel trilogy did a lot of that as well, introduced a ton of characters, and then you can't get full backstories and full character arc on every character they introduced. You can't get the full character arc and backstory for Finn and Maz and everybody, right? Like there's a long list where Lucasfilm takes a lot of criticism in the sequels because they introduced this fascinating character and then they never explored it. Missed opportunity. Well, there's only so much you can do in 3 movies, and that's why I think these series like Boba Fett. Give a great opportunity, but then again, now we're down to 2 episodes left, and there's still a lot of untold story, and people are really frustrated, and I get it, right?
I mean, and if these last 2 episodes are like around the 55-minute mark or something like that, and we essentially get 2 hours worth of storytelling left, there is a possibility that there's a lot of time that we're not sensing that is actually there, and that they could do a lot. Like this could essentially be a Star Wars movie here at the very end. That does all of this stuff where Boba assembles his 7 samurai on Tatooine against the Pikes, and we get all of these all-stars coming in. And but the one thing I would say is that based off of what we're hearing and disregarding the 4chan leak, which seems to just have used disparate things that were real to or other rumors to make itself make sense. We would have to think Cat is going to be on Boba's side. That Cat is going to be hired by Boba. Is what would be the Occam's razor in the situation, I think.
Yeah, and that's where my head has been. I know Meg disagrees with me like vehemently, like that she just can't see Cad Bane and Boba being on the same side, but I can, and it's because they're kind of disassociate rivalries with jobs, right?
Yeah.
You were hired to kill me. it's all good. How about you be my buddy? Okay,
Well,
right? Like
it was like 30 years ago.
yeah, that too.
That skirmish. They may have patched it up. I mean, who knows when.
X-Wing, well said. Well said. I'm not going to go down that tangent anymore because there's more things I'd like to discuss with Jason before we have to go. There's another bit of things making the rounds. I want to bring this up, and it ties into what all's going to happen. Right, we're running out of time in this series, and there's other things in the concept art for the last episode. We get the ring world. Well, people have zoomed in and they've noticed, and this came from Disney's website, StarWars.com. This came from StarWars.com. This ship right here, floating around the ring.
That's the Sith infiltrator, correct?
Well, there's a lot of people say it looks a lot like this thing.
Yeah.
And this thing is Maul's vessel. Right? Yeah. This is Darth Maul's vessel. If this is Darth Maul's vessel, Maul is dead. He's dead. By the time we get here, he's been dead a while. In this episode of the Book of Boba Fett in the current time, right?
Yeah.
If that's the case, this is Maul's vehicle, but Maul's not in it. Let's say that that's this vehicle here. Mm-hmm. Let's say that this is Maul's vehicle and Maul's not in it. Who would have Maul's vehicle with not Maul in it?
Kira,
who has been heavily rumored. There's been several foreshadowing. There's been quite a bit of foreshadowing of her or Crimson Dawn. And if this is another bit of hint, might we get Kira and or Crimson Dawn as the big bads of the Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah. I personally just see an artist Bob Rossing in things for vibe, and they're doing all this Phantom Menace stuff and trying to make a coherency through the art styles throughout, and just I'm going to put a little Sith infiltrator up here, and then now we're actually freaking out. I mean, I want it to be true. I want it to be that, but I'm not convinced. I'm not even excited and hopeful based off of that personally.
Well, again, I just go back to the runway is running out.
Yeah.
Right? Eventually the wheels come off the ground and you're in the air or you crash. Mm-hmm. And that's the question. At the end of this series, is it going to actually get liftoff? Right? Are people going to go back, using the analogy, right? Are people going to look back and say, wow, that was a brilliant takeoff? Or are they going to say it crashed and burned at the end of the runway because it didn't ever get off the ground? Yeah. Right? And I think right now we've got a lot of people saying, well, for all my expectations, for the story that I wanted to see, for the character that I love, and
that's a guitar going back there.
it doesn't feel like it's happening. So they're concerned, and Lunga, who was here, he's not feeling it, and so I could see it going both ways. Like some people saying it never got off the ground, and there's only 2 episodes left, and we've talked about Maz, and Han, and Chewie, and Luke, and Grogu, and Kira, and Bosk, and wait, is there enough story left for all of this to happen in a meaningful way, or is it just you get a cameo and you get a cameo and everybody gets a cameo in one giant fight at the end, sort of at the end of Rise of Skywalker, when a bazillion ships come in and you can pick, oh, there's an N1, oh, look, there's the Ghost, oh, look, is that what's going to happen? What are we looking at?
Yeah. I mean, as you're saying this, I'm thinking about the title, and I'm I don't even know if I understand the title of the show.
No, Book of Boba Fett.
I don't even know if I understand it, to be honest with you. So I mean, it's really strange. I mean, it's looking like somebody asked a question earlier. I can't remember who it was, but they were basically asking about mentioning the Grace Randolph thing.
Oh yeah,
and how she had reported that it there's problems with Pedro and they're like writing him out and all this kind of shit. And stuff. And that was just like them going and in my opinion, that was her sensationalizing it and reading into it to make it sensational. But I think that what she was onto was the fact that they were starting Book of Boba and they all thought it was Mando season 3. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think what happens is that you start telling Boba Fett's story, and I think it just spawns. I think it should have been the B story in Mando season 3, but it got so big and so convoluted, and they had so many ideas and so much to do. I think that it became its own series. They just said, let's just do that. Let's just move over and do that, and we can continue that part of that Din setup, and then do season. They're like, yeah, it's a great idea. We'll just do it that way. But then I think they ended up with, okay, we did that. Now what do we do? But we don't. Right. There's not really enough here. We don't have enough to like really fill this up. And so I so hope that I'm like, oh man, they are geniuses, and I just didn't see it coming. Like that's what I'm rooting for them. I want to be wrong about my like anxieties, if you will, about the show.
Well, I'll tell you what, there will be riots, Jason. If this is not you, Jason, but Jason Dolly. Jason in the chat. There will be riots if the war with the Pikes is the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Right? The show ends and we're getting ready to go to war. The end. Wait for season 2. Ooh.
Well, they're I mean, if they have a really strong ending in some way, if something does that we can't foresee is going to happen, is really big, and then that's what's left on the table, you do end up with Din, and you have Boba Fett, and what's Boba Fett trying to do? We still don't know. Why are they holding it back? Do they not know? And the best theory that I've kicked around, and I heard other people kick around, is that Mandalore is so messed up. It's not really, you don't want to live there right now and anytime soon. And maybe he wants to change Tatooine into a refuge for Mandos in the future, and it's going to become Mandalore 2, so to speak. And that's what he wants to like do. So if you end up taking it there, we have an interesting kind of concept laid out, because Boba Fett and Din both went up against the Imperial Remnant in a real big way, stole what they are looking for to resurrect Emperor Palpatine, and that literally puts Mandalore at war with the Imperial Remnant, and that's a fascinating, like, it could go into such a cool place.
I'm coming around to that as well, and I was watching Star Wars Newsnet this morning, and they kind of touched on it as well. Look, for a while I've been speculating, might we see water return to Tatooine, because there's been such this water theme throughout the season, and would Boba Fett bring the natural state of Tatooine back with oceans and such? But then my brain remembered, hey Santa, you remember the closed scene of Rise of Skywalker? Do you remember that? You remember the end scene of Rise of Skywalker, where Rey goes back to the Lars homestead and buries the lightsabers in the sand in the desert on a dry Tatooine? I'm like, oh, you know what? That ain't happening. Unless, if it does, then they are truly retconning the sequels, which people, on a certain portion of this fandom are completely sold that is going to happen. I don't believe it at all. I think there's a 0% of that happening. But if it does, then I'll be shocked. I do think that what you're saying, Boba Fett, it ties in by him making Jabba's palace a refuge for Mandalorians. We know that they've been hiding out in coverts, on Navarro. They've been hiding out on the substructure of a ring planet. There's only 2 of them here, and there's 3 of them there. And there's, you got the Night Owls doing their thing, Bo-Katan's, club. You got the armors, the 2 of them, her and Paz Vizsla, right?
Yeah,
hanging out in the underbelly of that ring planet. You got Din Djarin out there, kind of making his way around. Somewhere you've got Sabine Wren, and do we end up with Boba Fett uniting Mandalorians in Tatooine and Jabba's palace? And does he position himself, or does Din use that palace, like maybe Boba Fett is the caretaker of the palace, but Din is the leader of the Mandalorians. I don't know, right? Like you're saying, that opens up all kinds of interesting possibilities.
Yeah, because my take here's my long prediction is that we have Din, because look at the cult. Like, there's two of them. Who cares? Oh, you kicked me out? Okay, cool. Go play it by yourself, losers. I mean, me and Grogu team up. We have a new cult just as good as your cult. You know what I mean? I mean, other than you can make armor. But I mean, it's like, who are they? I do think that if they are going to align themselves with the bad side, and that they're going to be on the I do think that that's where it's going to go. I think that that's going to be the big crux, is that if they're going to go to the bad side of things, and they're going to become protagonist or antagonists, I should say. And then, but I would not be surprised. They literally mentioned there was a Mandalorian Jedi. Who's the Mandalorian Jedi in this show right now? Who's getting the little armor? So I bet you we get Grogu growing up and becoming Mandalore, and he's gonna, because remember, like, Yoda's a 90-year-old Mr. Miyagi. He doesn't like that's not what they have to look like. He could look really cool. They could make him look super rad, like you know what I mean, like if they want to. Because we've only seen Yaddle, who is also probably really old. That's why I don't think Yaddle's his mom. She seems old. And then we've seen evil Yoda for Yoda's hubris, which is more of like a spirit creature of himself. And so what if you make that look heroic and you give it Mandalorian gear and he's a Jedi and it's like a whole thing, like it could be a rad place to like take this.
Well, it could, and I've seen that theory before that Grogu is going to be the Mandalore. He's going to bring all those pieces together. And I've heard Din is going to be the Mandalorian. I've heard Boba is going to be the Mandalorian. I've heard so many theories. And this comment by Yadi is not wrong. Like, Mandalore could be restored, but also in the interim, as you're building up the Mandalorians, who are split all over the place, you could bring them together at Jabba's palace as their like refuge. This is the place where they begin the rebuilding of the Mandalorians as a one group of people instead of these disparate groups. And maybe Din is the thread that holds all those pieces together. Maybe. I don't know.
I think he's going to die personally too, eventually.
Din?
Yeah, he just seems so like so sad and good in certain ways. But I do think that but also he doesn't really have like a big, sort of when I say a point, I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean, he's kind of aimless, and then he finds a way to go, but it's always in the story, it's been his heart. And I feel like he's going to die eventually to make room for somebody else to take it, who's not as good as he is, though, because he just feels so good. I don't think he could last forever. That's kind of where I feel like the storytelling power is eventually.
It could be the tragedy that people rally behind.
And then maybe Grogu becomes, because right now Boba and Din are, I mean, Boba seems really good, but he's still wanting to be a crime lord. So that's not necessarily the kind of guy you want to elect to be president of Mandalore. You know what I mean? Necessarily. I mean, not necessarily, you wouldn't think anyways, with Star Wars, the sense of morality. And so I wouldn't be surprised if when all is said and done, he's the character who dies, and then Boba lives, and Grogu lives.
I could see that. I absolutely could see that. Din's death becomes a rallying point, right? He was the good guy that everybody was cheering for. He gets killed. Grogu does it for my papa. Right? Yeah. People are like, "Oh, for Grogu's papa," and they follow Grogu, right?
Or Din gets killed, and then Grogu force pulls the dark saber to him, and he fights the person who killed him. Now he's Mandalore, and he's a foundling. I'm just gonna throw it out there. That's my remember this day, because if I'm right, somebody owes me pizza. I don't know who, but somebody owes me pizza. If I'm right.
If I ever make it to your neck of the woods, pizza is on me.
All right.
Astromech Jeremy with the $5 super chat. Thank you for the support there, Jeremy. Appreciate it. No one gets far without a tribe. That's a really good point. And it's sort of the opposite of the Sith way, right? Where there's the rule of two. You could say that's a tribe, but it's really not.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is the Mandalorian culture, that bringing all those people together. They could absolutely be a force to be reckoned with. And X-Wing is with you 100%, then 100% dies for Grogu. You're dead on. It absolutely could happen.
It'll be out of love. You know what I mean? It's so there for a powerful moment that like bookends and ends the chapters of that story for me. Anyway, that's how I would do it.
You ever hear the tragedy of Darth Grogu? I saw somebody said that Din. Where was it? It's up here. I saw it. There it is. I see it. Boba Fett. Din's probably going to retire with Omera, the lady from Chapter 4 of Mando.
That's what I would have done.
Yeah, like,
if I were Pedro Pascal, I'd be like, well, I peaked. Yeah.
Hey, Jumpin' Jamie made it. Good to see you here. Yeah, I think that's an interesting story. I'm not sure they'll go that way anytime soon. Grogu has a ways to go before he could kind of step into that mantle. And I just don't know, but it could happen. I can totally see where you're coming from. I can totally see people rallying behind Boba Fett as the Mandalorian. I can totally see Din Djarin becoming the Mandalorian. All of those stories could unfold. Any of them, none of them, who knows? It's kind of a fun time to be a Star Wars fan. And it raises another question as we kind of past the 1 hour mark. Question: when is the next Star Wars series, and what is it? When is the next one, and what is it? Our friend Meg did a video over the weekend that I saw that suggests that the next series is going to be the Bad Batch Season 2, and that's going to actually happen May 4th, which means there's a long time between end of February or beginning of February, right, mid-February, to the beginning of May. You've got 3 months of no Star Wars content on Disney Plus, and then tons of Star Wars content left in the rest of the year, because you've got presumably 16 episodes of The Bad Batch. You've presumably got, 8 episodes? How many episodes of Kenobi were? Is it 8?
6 episodes of Kenobi. There's 6.
6. Okay, so 6 of Kenobi, and then there's 12 of Andor, but that's rumored to be split in half, 6 and 6, 6 for season 1, and then we know Anthony Daniels is doing some mocap for
a droid store, a droid tale.
That's presumably what he's doing. Yeah. All right. Will that be the Visions of 2022, a droid story, right? The little compact animated series that's kind of squeezed in. And then Mandalorian Season 3 at the end of the year, beginning of next year, sort of like Book of Boba Fett this year. Like, if it doesn't start until May, that starts really, really compacting. And as Jumpin' Jamie said, it feels like some things are going to have to overlap. And as Meg suggested, we could solve some of this, because don't forget that Marvel is having Wednesday releases as well. Disney Plus is releasing things on Wednesday nights. What about putting Star Wars back to Fridays?
Mm-hmm. Would be nice for me I have kids, and it would be nice if they could stay up and watch it instead of being like, nope. And then they're like, Dad, did you watch it without us? And I'm like, yeah.
yeah. I like the Bad Batch as well. I love the Bad Batch. I thought it was great. But look, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. And that's a frustration for me. And I've voiced it many times that I don't know anything. And we've got 2 episodes of Book of Boba Fett, just over a week left. And we don't know, are we going to have to wait till May? Can we please, anybody, please tell us what the next series is and when?
I think they're going to tell us at the end of the last episode of Book of Boba. That to me, it just makes sense. I mean, it would make sense to maybe even give us a preview or give us some sort of a little bit of enticement from that. But Mandalorian season 2 is the only thing that's ever done that so far. So we don't have a trend here to expect anything like that. But it does make sense from a lot of different marketing ways, because if you leave that series hyped, here's what's next. If you leave it disappointed, thank God something new is coming, and here's when it's coming.
I'm gonna make a bold prediction. The bold prediction is we're gonna get our next trailer during the Super Bowl. It's consistent with Lucasfilm in the past. It's consistent with tradition, if you want to say. It fits in the time frame, and it'll be everything's lining up, right?
Oh, and they both use Roman numerals.
Well, there's that. But I'm just saying everything's lining up. The end of the Book of Boba Fett and the Super Bowl are going to be within within days of each other. Okay. And you let Book of Boba Fett end, and you perhaps get a post-credit scene. Similarly, we got Mando season 2. It could be absolutely Kira showing up and kind of laying down the threat of whatever the next series is. If they're going to do a Crimson Dawn series, or they're going to put it in season 2 of the Book of Boba Fett, or something. I think it'll happen similar, like what you said with how we got Boba Fett announced. Yeah, we could get it announced then, and then at the Super Bowl we'll get a trailer, and that trailer will tell us coming May 4th, Bad Batch season 2, something like that.
Like me and or Bestman Bulletin and I, we talk a lot about like what's the schedule, and we kind of have those conversations all the time. And the thing that I always feel like needs to start to be kind of put out there and maybe even accepted a bit is Disney Plus launched with a content problem. They had a back catalog of things, and they didn't have new things. So there was a lot of, you could subscribe to this and you could watch old stuff. And then we're making stuff, so be excited. But they've had now a few years. We're starting to hit a point where they're not going to have a content distribution issue like they had at launch. And so this idea that, things can't overlap. Yeah, things couldn't overlap when they didn't have content. But now they have content coming, like lots of content is in the pipeline. And of course, the last years with viruses and stuff have really made that complicated. But we're getting to a place now where whatever happened last year is going to be relevant very soon. I think that's important to consider in our predictions.
That's a really, really good point. It really is. And Shanks here says, you recall the dark times. At least we have a pipeline of content. Oh, my friend, don't read me wrong. This is the best time to be a Star Wars fan. As much as they say the fandom's fragmented and we've got all these feuds going on everywhere, look, we're getting some of the best Star Wars content ever, and we're getting it back to back to back. Look, what we've gotten since the launch of Disney Plus, as Jason was saying, since the launch of Disney Plus, Mandalorian is largely responsible for the growth of Disney Plus. The Marvel series that are coming out, the new Star Wars series, there is just so much coming, and we're a little. Jason and I were talking before the stream started. What a wimp man this guy is. Mm-hmm. It's below 50.
It's 40 degrees here, guys. I was so cold. My little feetsies. My little feetsies were cold.
It's over 80. I'm too hot. Jason's got a sweet spot. It's got to stay there. Yeah. He's just a man baby.
Oh, it's 85. I need to get in the pool, you guys. I'm cold. I'm hot. I'm cold. I'm hot.
I can't live in Phoenix. It's too hot. Why do people live in Ohio? That's crazy. You guys are insane. I know.
I said there was an Oregon Trail, so you guys could go get to California. And there was a gold rush, so you guys could get to California. And the weather's great. What are you doing?
Right. What are you doing up there? Right. And yes, Star Wars fans, much of us are the same. We're saying, "Oh, when am I going to get my thing in weeks versus years, right?
Yeah.
Decades. We're measuring things in weeks instead of decades. So let's calm down. It's okay. It is good. I saw something else I wanted.
I hope
to
you feel
touch.
better, Yadi.
Oh, here we go. Yes or no? This is a good one to end on. Yes or no? We get a Ben Solo cameo in the next 2 years. I'll let you answer first. Yes or no?
Okay, if they're super corny, Han Solo walks into frame with baby Grogu and Ben Solo, baby Ben, in his arms. And he's like, "Hey, it's hard being a smuggler and a dad, ain't it?" And he's all, "Here, take this one. This one changes diaper." And then he leaves. Yeah, it could happen. It shouldn't, but it could.
I say 100% yes, it will happen in the next 2 years. We're getting a Ben, and it may be sooner than that, my friends. A certain friend of ours thinks it's going to happen in this series. It could happen in episode 7 of the Book of Boba Fett. There are speculations.
Hey, don't tell my dad, but I'm a mercenary for Boba Fett because I'm going to turn evil someday. No, I'm kidding.
He may be wearing swaddling clothes in a manger, so to speak, right? He may be very, very young, but I think for sure.
What if Boba hires the Knights of Ren? Huh?
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
I think we talked about Maz's castle and seeing Han Solo there, and there are. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want to open up a whole new topic now, but Han Solo and Kira meet each other. There's an old flame there that could get rekindled that causes a bit of conflict there with Mrs. Solo.
Yeah,
it could end up to where he is because she doesn't like the old flame being around. I mean, who knows? All right, but could we get a younger Han and a younger Leia and a baby Ben? Yeah, I think we could.
And I mean, and if the theory that Grogu does is a Mandalorian, essentially, if he is a foundling, and the foundling is under the care of Luke Skywalker, that probably kind of ties Boba's hands about being I must get revenge kind of stuff. It may kind of tie his hands there and leave that in a stalemate of I don't like you, but I can't go after you.
Yeah. Roland mentions Kira is assembling quite the muscle. Like in the Book of Boba Fett, we've been speculating about Boba Fett building his team and getting some muscle added to his team. Kira is doing a quite an effective job of that in the comics. Yeah. She is going to be a force to reckon with, and that's why many of us think that Crimson Dawn and or Kira's gang are going to be the big bads in this series. So we'll see where it goes. We have one thing left to do, and we have to do it before we close every show, is our Mike Porter dad joke of the day. Now I don't have it queued up. I don't have it queued up in the text, but I've got it on stream. I've got Mike Porter's Twitter account linked in the description here. So we're just going to go straight to his Twitter account, and we'll look at the dad joke of the day straight from Twitter.
Live at Twitter, Mike Porter dad joke.
Mike Porter dad joke of the day. Let's make this a little better. It says, what does a shy oyster say? Aw, shucks.
Man.
So good.
So bad I love it.
I love it. There's a certain age that men reach in their lives where more of this gets funnier and it entertains us more and more as we get to a certain age in our lives. So, Mike Porter, thank you so much for your dad jokes. I appreciate them. In this timeline, would they be babies or kids? Ben would be a young.
He's a baby, isn't he?
I'd have to look. I've heard some people say he's not born yet, but I think he's.
Well, I think he's. Isn't he born around Jakku, around the Battle of Jakku?
Right.
So he'd be like 4 or 5 years old.
That's what I was thinking. He's around 5, so he's toddler age.
Yeah.
Boba Fett says he's 4. I was thinking he is 4 or 5. So I do think that Roland, I'm telling dad jokes already. Yeah, it gets better when you are a dad and your kids are embarrassed by it. Mm-hmm. Like, please don't do it in public. You're like, oh, we're doing it in public. Oh, it's happening.
Yeah. I love embarrassing my kids as they go into the school.
Yes.
Like as they're walking in, I'm like, that's my boy right there, and he's just like. But like we cross the street to go to school, and like they both take my hands, and the minute we hit the sidewalk at the school, he takes his hand away from mine. Now, like, I'm like,
would be in the drop off line, right? And a song comes on the radio. Oh, we're singing that loud and putting the windows down. Mm-hmm. And she's like, Dad, quit singing. No, I'm not. We're singing loud. Everybody, Dad, you're embarrassing me. Good. That's the plan.
Yeah. Hey, you pooped on me. So what?
Exactly. I'll be in there, jamming. And she's like, Dad, please stop. Please stop. Oh, no. Can I get out here? Can I just walk? Look.
Yeah.
It's so good. You are you're doing your show today with Sketchcraft?
I am, yeah. We'll be talking about Star Wars and all kinds of weird stuff. I think I saw a UFO. I'm going to talk about it.
Oh my!
I'm going to talk about it.
Where's Meg? Meg needs to be in the chat today.
I know I missed her today. By the way, I was like, I hope she's feeling all right and everything's cool.
I hope all's well.
Hopefully she just had a great night partying. She's like, oh, what? Where am I?
Or she's having dinner. It's 5 hours ahead. So maybe she's having dinner. But Meg, we missed you today. You've got to catch Jason's show. If he spotted a UFO, I know Meg needs to be there to hear it. So look forward to it. That's at the top of the hour, yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
As soon as I get out of here, I'm going to cue that up. And so go to the Making Star Wars on YouTube and check it out.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, you guys can hear that they said we've been hearing the elephants. They're up there working on the remodel of the house. So thank you, Jason, for being here. Any parting words as we get ready to go?
Be cool. Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye. Merry Christmas, everybody.